Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So let me start the video by sharing the story of IDFC First Bank, that it was a darling of a stock up until a couple of weeks ago when it was giving crazy returns. So the stock went all the way from 33 rupees to roughly 100 rupees. So triple ho gaya the stock, and now it has started to correct. Now it is trading at 82, 83 rupees. So करीब 20% का loss, 20% loss has happened on the stock, and retail investors लुट गए, बर्बाद हो गए, बेकार stock है, this that, right? I've been getting so many questions on IDFC First Bank कि बेच के निकल जाएं, क्या करें क्या ना करें. There is so much panic on a good stock like IDFC First Bank. But आप इन्हीं लोगों से जाके पूछो, that go and ask them that hey, what is your viewpoint on IDFC First Bank 2 months back? Hey, it's a multi-bagger stock. But the entire narrative on multi-bagger changed the moment stock fell by 20%. Now the reason I'm telling you this story has to do with a quote of Mr. Warren Buffett, and it goes something like this: that investors cut their roses or good flowers and water their weeds. तो इसका मतलब सिंपल भाषा में ये होता है कि people end up selling their good stocks and they continue to hold bad stocks. आप खुद बताना और genuinely इस चीज़ को बताना that when you are holding a good stock, you might have done business analysis, fundamental analysis, you got into that stock, and then suddenly होता है क्या है that you make 20-30% profit and then you sell it and book profits and you go away. We never think about the fact यार अपन को double, triple on good stocks how to do it. But on the flip side, now let me share example number 2 of Yes Bank. Yes Bank पे आपको इतनी खबरें मिलेंगी, इतने न्यूज़ एंकर से बोला है खरीद लो, ये कर लो, वो कर लो. Okay, so let us quickly study the performance of Yes Bank. Yes Bank पिछले एक महीने में it has given -5% return. 6 months में it's 2.5% return. 1 year में it has given nothing, right? In 5 years it has given -93% return. But there is so much chatter कि यार इससे नीचे क्या ही गिर जाएगा Yes Bank, क्या ही बुरा हो जाएगा Yes Bank में, खरीद लेते हैं. Our money will triple, double, this, that. See, the reason why I'm telling you this story has to do with a very fundamental concept of what is happening in the stock market. Most people will not get it, but I'm telling you that 5 years from now, that this is a point that a lot of investors will discuss, because this point is going to make a lot of money for you. Now, macroeconomically speaking, there is a lot of debt on the world. Debt का मतलब होता है लोन वोन पे काम होना, जिसकी वजह से there is a lot of volatility. Volatility होना मतलब कि कई बार stocks बहुत ऊपर जाते हैं, then they fall down quite aggressively. This has started to happen for the market also. Now, how do big players make money by this volatility? They are masters at making money by using this volatility, by triggering your emotions. So how does this manipulation happens? How does this triggering happens? That is precisely I am going to explain in very simple, easy to understand language. बहुत बड़े-बड़े लोग involved होते हैं in terms of running this dark world of stock investing. If you watch this video completely, make notes, आपको बहुत knowledge मिलेगी. You will be able to control your emotions better. एंड उससे होगा क्या कि आप खराब स्टॉक से पीछे नहीं भागोगे, येस बैंक टाइप, एंड अच्छे स्टॉक्स व्हेन दे आर फॉलोइंग गुड स्टॉक्स लाइक IDFC फर्स्ट बैंक, HDFC से रिटर्न नहीं आ रहा, व्हाट शुड वी डू, यू विल स्टॉप विद द एंटायर पैनिक. आई विल डिस्कस 5 fundamental points in very easy to understand language. So let's begin, and also a very big shout out to our sponsors for today, which is Vested. They are an excellent US stock investing platform. I have personally built my tech portfolio in the US. The majority of the tech investments I have made, they are in the US market. I have personally used Vested in order to make those investments. My portfolio is in the description and comment box. You can go and check it. So with that said, let's move over to the main video, and let me start discussing the entire story point by point by giving you specific examples. So see, number one way in which big investors are fooling you and are sucking out your money is very simple. It is through news manipulation. It is one of the oldest techniques in the book. But let me give you literally like 5 days ago wala example. So this example is of SBI cards. I've been a big supporter of this company. I still continue to hold my stock, and stock unfortunately 7-8% गिर चुका है in the last 4-5 days. So what is happening with that stock? Let me quickly touch upon that. So on 30th October, a news comes out that Mr. Ambani is going to invest in SBI cards. This news came out after the market closed. Okay. Now this news could have been an actual news, right? Or this could have been a planted news. But on 30th October, when the market closed, probably the situation would have been that many big people, this news came as a surprise, and उनको लगा कि यार अब देखो SBI cards बनने वाला है रॉकेट, राइट? तो अब क्या करें, राइट? वी हैव टू बाय स्टफ एट चीप, वरना इफ एज बिग इन्वेस्टर्स वी आर नॉट बाइंग स्टफ एट चीप, How is it that we are going to make money on it? So the next day, the market opened and the stock fell by 7.5%. Now this was a big fall for SBI cards. अब खुद सोच के देखो यार, ऐसा तो कुछ हुआ नहीं, right? It's not as if that this is a negative news that Ambani ji is investing in SBI cards and they are doing some kind of partnership there. ऐसा तो कुछ है नहीं कि कुछ खराब चीज़ हो गई, बेकार की बातें होने लग गई कि यू नो व्हाट निम खराब है एंड प्रोविजनिंग हो गई है. नो, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ प्रोविजनिंग? प्रोविजनिंग मीन्स दैट लेट्स से दैट बैंक डिफॉल्ट एट HDFC बैंक, उनका 1000 करोड़ का धंधा आता है एंड दे आर कीपिंग 10 करोड़ एज रिजर्व मनी कि यार देखो इतना हमें फंड रखना पड़ेगा सो दैट इन केस देर आर डिफॉल्ट्स दिस दैट सो वी कैन रीपे आर स्टॉक होल्डर्स एंड डिपॉजिटर्स. सो दैट कॉन्सेप्ट इज कॉल्ड एज कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ प्रोविजनिंग. अब प्रोविजनिंग बढ़ गई SBI कार्ड्स में तो ऐसा क्या हो गया, राइट? इट्स नॉट एज इफ दैट दिस इज लाइक बैड और फंडामेंटली बैड फॉर द बिजनेस. That is a requirement that probably all the finance company, card companies, banks might be adhering to, that they have increased their provisioning requirements. No major fundamental change happened, no major business change happened, but suddenly the stock fell by 7.5%. And please try to answer that why did this situation play out? Did anything change on SBI cards? The short answer is no. I will show you the fundamental charts also in a minute, but the important point to notice is that see, the stock fell. And likely reason why this stock fell was that hey, this is a news that big operators did not understand and उनके लिए खुद सरप्राइज था. तो उन्होंने सोचा यार अब एग्रीगेट करना शुरू कर देते हैं SBI cards. So how did they bring the stock price down? Very simple, right? Bunch of friends, big pocket friends, they got together. This selling came in very large volume and the stock fell quite aggressively. Since then the stock has gone up little bit and यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? यहाँ पे simple accumulation हो रहा है. Now I cannot give a guarantee that the stock will not fall. Of course they can ट्रिगर मोर पैनिक, एक दो न्यूज़ और निकाल दी जाएंगी कि अच्छा ये हो गया, निम कम हो गया, फलाना कम हो गया एंड ऑल दैट, दिखाना कम हो गया एंड फर्दर लिटिल बिट मोर सेलिंग कैन कम एंड probably at this support level the stock could fall. I am saying could fall. Now what do people think or normal retail investors think? We think that hey, if the stock price is falling, it's a bad stock. And then when the stock price is rising, that's a great stock, okay? And when do we start buying? We start buying when the prices go up. So in SBI cards case, when do you think retail investors are going to buy? Well, the retail investors are going to buy जब ये ऐसे थोड़ा सा बढ़ जाएगा, ऊपर जाने लग जाएगा stock, then we will say कि अच्छा हाँ यार SBI cards is a very good stock, so let us buy it here, okay? अभी क्या लग रहा है? Again I started the story with IDFC First Bank. वहाँ पे क्या लग रहा है कि अरे यार IDFC First Bank price is going down, bad stock. Now again same people 6 months ago, oh IDFC First Bank giving major run up, it's a great stock. So if we can't stop with this entire concept of chasing the stock price, you will be manipulated by news in order to buy your stocks or sell your stocks and आपके साथ दुनिया भर की घपलेबाजी होती रहेगी. Let me present another example and then I'll come back to the SBI cards कि इसमें fundamentally कुछ खराब है कि नहीं है. But let me share a very quick story about Brightcom Group. So this is an article that was posted on Z News. And आप देख सकते हो one of the recommendation in a way was Brightcom Group. And when was this? This was roughly in 2021. तो आप 2021 से देखो कि क्या हुआ है Brightcom Group पे. So the Brightcom Group it used to trade at roughly 100 rupees and अभी उसकी कीमत है 16 रुपये, 16 rupees. 84% of money has been eroded. भाई बोलोगे कि यार आप तो इंडियन न्यूज़ चैनलों पे लांछन लगा रहे हो एंड वॉट नॉट. भाई दिस डज नॉट हैपन जस्ट इन इंडिया. दिस हैपन्स ऑल अक्रॉस द ग्लोब दैट रिच पीपल फॉर्म अ कार्टेल टुगेदर एंड दे फिगर आउट अ वे टू मेक मनी फ्रॉम एवरेज इन्वेस्टर्स. दैट इज हाउ द स्टॉक मार्केट वर्क्स. Recently you would have heard a news of a company called as WeWork. Now WeWork is a company, it was rather a startup run by a controversial person called as Adam Newman and he started that WeWork company. It looked like a scam from the beginning. He ran it right now. It is filed for bankruptcy. Bankruptcy means कि खत्म हो गया stock price. This is the stock price. You can check. The IPO did not go through very easily. They took another route of doing an IPO. उसके बाद exit मिल गया of existing investors. VCs made money. The bankers who brought that IPO to the market, they also made a lot of money. Crazy ton of money. The founder made a lot of money. On top of that, the founder went on to start another company and raised money for it. अब ये shady game नहीं है तो क्या है, right? So that's a simple point and message I'm trying to tell you that if you are in the habit of just chasing stocks without studying the fundamentals, you will go bankrupt in the stock market. This acceleration of trend will happen more and more. Now coming to the question, आपको बेवकूफ़ बनना कैसे नहीं है. So let me again come back to the story of SBI cards. आप सिंपल जाके देखो कि रेवेन्यूज बढ़ रहे हैं कि नहीं बढ़ रहे हैं. 100% बढ़ रहे हैं. अच्छा, प्रॉफिट्स इज इट राइजिंग और नॉट? very good profits have been rising, all-time high revenues, all-time high profit. Is there some issue with the growth rate of the company? The short answer is no. There is no issue with the growth rate of the company. It is growing at a CAGR of 22%. ऐसी क्या आफत आ गई कंपनी में कि भाई सडनली 8-10% से स्टॉक गिरने लग गया? So please do not start tracking your entire investments just through prices. Have a little bit of patience. You are going to make money on fundamentally sound companies. Again, a classic case study here or a great case study here is the story of ITC. Revenues बढ़ रहे थे, profits बढ़ रहा था, सब कुछ अच्छा था, memes बन रहे थे उस टाइम पे. No one was supporting the stock. अच्छे बड़े PMS वाले लोग निकल गए ITC से कि बेकार स्टॉक है, ये वो है. बना ना. People ended up making good money now who showed patience in it. I personally made good amount of money in it. So the moral of the story is that see, news will be manipulated, but news only manipulates people who keep on chasing the price. So this is the first critical point that you must understand. Now the second way in which a stock price is easily manipulated is by using content creators. I'm sorry to say it, I'm telling you very honest story here, and मेरे पास इतने ऑफर्स आते हैं कि आप ये स्टॉक पे ले लो, ये बोल दो, ये चीज कर देना. I never do such shady stuff. Genuinely, whatever I talk about, I justify the fundamentals behind it. But I know a lot of creators, what will they do? पेड पॉडकास्ट. ओके, उसमें आपको पता भी नहीं चलता कि पॉडकास्ट चल रहा है, पीछे कंपनी को सॉफ्ट पुश दिया जा रहा है, ऑल दैट स्टफ. आप जाके देखो, राइट, रिसेंटली मामा अर्थ IPO वाज लॉन्च्ड. अब जाके देखो कितने पॉडकास्ट हुए हैं उसके अराउंड. आप जाके देखो कितने लिंक्डइन पोस्ट हुए हैं उसके अराउंड. आप जाके देखो कितने ट्विटर पोस्ट हुए हैं उसके अराउंड. एंड इन फुल डिस्क्लोजर, I am announcing that by I am not putting any luncheon or any bad stuff on Mama Earth or any companies that I am speaking about. I am simply picking up the public data and telling you the reality. लगा लो आप लॉसूट, राइट. मैं तो आपको जेन्युइन बात बता रहा हूँ, इसमें कोई डरने वाली बात ही नहीं है. सो आई एम जेन्युइनली टेलिंग यू ऑल दिस स्टफ. आई डोंट डू ऑल दीज पेड पॉडकास्ट एंड ऑल दैट नॉनसेंस. आपको क्या लगता है कि ऑफर नहीं आते? बहुत आते हैं. अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर डूइंग इट. माई जॉब इज टू इंश्योर दैट यू गाइज एंड अप रिटेनिंग योर मनी. आपका स्टॉक मार्केट से ट्रस्ट ना हिले, आपको genuine education मिले. That is the intent with which I teach. So okay, now you might naturally turn around and say that you know what, अक्षत, ये तो आपने बड़ी बात बोल दी, right? ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. That all players are good only. आप तो ऐसी बातें कर रहे हो. Okay, so let me move to point number 3 and मैं आपको fact के तहत बताता हूँ, right? For example, here is how mutual funds have invested in Mama Earth. Now, any mutual fund house have they given an investment thesis of investing money in Mama Earth. I wrote a tweet explaining कि यार investment thesis तो बताओ. Why are you putting public's money in Mama Earth? Now there was no explanation, right, whatsoever कि भाई फंड है हमारा, हमें जो करना होगा करेंगे, कर लो जो करना है आपको, right? Now see, this is deeply frustrating because if you have invested via any of these schemes, indirectly your money goes into companies like Mama Earth, and even if you are not trusting these companies, आपका जबरदस्ती का पैसा लग जाता है in this. The rationale giving is that hey, we have like very little exposure to this. हो गई बात खत्म. So why should we even present our investment thesis? But भाई उस कंपनी का PE ratio is so high right now that it is not even profitable. जब initially when they came out, they decided the valuation, तो उस हिसाब से PE निकल के आ रहा था 1700 का PE, right? When the initial prospects were discussed of launching an IPO around it, 1700 के PE पे बात हो रही थी. 1700. Can you name 5 companies in India that are existing at such high PE? What is the moat of the company? They don't even control their distribution. It is entirely built on marketing. आप ऑलरेडी हाल देख चुके हो कि IPOs are pumped and dumped in a way. There is an entire video that I had done. You guys can go and check it. But let me give you 1 minute explanation that in this IPO pumping and dumping game, how are retail investors fooled? So you might have seen that companies raise something called a Series A, B and C rounds. In simple word, it means that for example, एक छोटी कंपनी शुरू होती है. So it might start with a seed fund of let's say 1 crore. Seed fund means कि initial seed खरीदने का पैसा and बिल्कुल ही मतलब basic money. तो 1 crore से start हुई. फिर they start doing little bit of sales, marketing, they make little bit of revenues, not profit. Then B होता है, C होता है, D, E, F, G, all these rounds happen. And by the time IPO happens, it already becomes like a 2500 crore company. अब आप ये सोच के देखो कि it became from 1 crore all the way till 2500 crore in private market. Till this point, they have not generated any revenues, any profits. All they have is a story कि हमारी कंपनी आगे चल के इतना प्रॉफिट दे देगी. It will control 99% of market share in this particular category, वगैरह वगैरह. So you are being sold a story. Who sells this story? Well, unfortunately, investment bankers. For example, in Mama Earth's case, there were a bunch of investment bankers who took this company from private to public market. Now, what is the meaning of public market? It means कि भाई यहाँ पे तो आपको चिपका दी वैल्यूएशन ऑफ certain multiple, okay, जो multiple निकल के आता है मान लो 1700 के PE पे, okay. Now who is buying at this multiple? Now it is unfortunately the retail investor who is buying it here. अब आप बोलोगे कि यार मैं तो समझदार बंदा हूँ, I don't buy these type of companies. भाई आपके म्यूचुअल फंड खरीद रहे हैं. For example, when you go and put your money in monthly SIP in any of these mutual fund, a part of your money ends up getting invested in these type of companies. Okay, so this is the reality. Even when you don't want to buy these companies, a part of your money is going there. So think about it this way, that if you're a retail investor and if you don't know how to invest your own money, okay, you can't buy direct equities. आपको नहीं आती investing, right? ना आपके पास time है, ना आपके पास acumen है. Now you want to learn about it, then what is your option? Your option is कि आप जाओ 7% FD करा लो, right? 7%, 7.5% पे, and you make your after tax income as like whatever 5.5, something around that. Okay, so this is your go-to option. Your option B is that you go and give it to a mutual fund. Now XYZ brands हो सकती हैं mutual fund की. They are going to say कि यार देखो, as a fund manager, my job is very simple, to beat FD. That's it. As long as I'm doing, what other option does this poor retail investor have, right? And आपको ये दुनिया भर के पार्ट पढ़ा दिए जाते हैं कि है ना, क्यों सीखनी इन्वेस्टिंग, आप क्या करोगे इन्वेस्टिंग सीख के, गिव अस योर मनी, वी विल मेक लाइक 2% AUM और 1.5% AUM. आपको आज तक पता है कि कौन से म्यूचुअल फंड मैनेजर का पर्सनल पोर्टफोलियो क्या है, हाउ इज इट परफॉर्मिंग? यू हैव जीरो क्लू अबाउट वेयर दैट म्यूचुअल फंड मैनेजर्स ओन मनी इज गोइंग. All you are believing is a story because you have no choice. So therefore, I keep on encouraging all of you to go and learn about stock investing on your own. You can't outsource your health. You can't outsource your wealth. It's as simple as that. If you don't learn how to invest your money, not only you will lose crazy amount of commissions, you will also have no other option but to keep giving money here. Okay. And statistics, studies tell us that almost 85% of actively managed mutual fund managers in the large cap segment, they are unable to beat even Nifty 50 returns. That is how bad the situation is. The game is rigged from the top. I'm telling you the reality so that you guys can take actions. And again, I pass on knowledge through my Wisdom Hatch community. In case you guys are interested, definitely go and check it out. Reviews have been excellent. I am trying to teach everyone investing so that you guys learn how to do stuff on your own. It's completely okay to give your money to mutual fund managers या जो भी manager आपने pick किया है. That is fine, not an issue. But don't be like a clueless person. Okay, that is the simple message I'm trying to tell you, because this thing is not going to stop. This will only accelerate with time. Now the fourth way in which the retail janta is fooled is very simple. It is called as float management. Now float management का मतलब मैं आपको एक example से बताता हूँ. For example, Adani has been in the news quite extensively. Why? Because see, promoters have almost how much holding? 72%. FIIs अभी आरोप लगे हुए हैं, right? I am not taking sides and all that stuff, but basically it is said that they have created shell companies in Mauritius. They are buying behalf on Adani Group, what not, right? So assume कर लो कि ये चीज़ ठीक है, right? So then how much of the equity is gone? Now almost 90% of equity is gone, right? Only this amount of equity is available to be traded. Okay. Now what it simply means is that see, if there is 100 units of equity and 10 is there for free float, then how would the price of a stock move? Well, the price of the stock moves as per the supply and demand of the stock. Now, if the supply is not there of the stock, no one is willing to sell it because the promoter is not going to sell it. The FIIs are adhering to whatever the promoter is saying, then even they will not sell. Which part of the ecosystem is selling? So the float here is very low. This comes exclusively from retail investors, so to say. भाई ये आपस में इधर उधर करते रहेंगे, टेबल टेनिस खेलते रहेंगे कि वी विल सेल समडे, न्यूज़ आ गई तो खरीद लिया, न्यूज़ आ गई तो बेच दिया, एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ. And in order to push up the demand of the stock, what is it that the promoter or FII needs to do? Well, they can increase the demand. Why? Because the float of the company is so low. So आप जितने भी stocks देखते हो ना कि जो 4x हो गए, 5x हो गए, without any growth in revenues or profits of the company, how does that happen? आप trend observe करके देख लेना. I'm not trying to say anything about any group. आप खुद analyze करके देखो. You go and analyze it yourself. You will find one single common criteria among all, that the float और फ्री फ्लोट ऑफ द कंपनी इज वेरी वेरी लो. तभी उतनी शार्पली वो ऊपर भी चले जाते हैं. दे गो फास्ट वेरी हाई एंड दे कम डाउन ऑल्सो वेरी वेरी हाई. इफ यू कैच अ गुड मार्केट साइकिल, यू विल से कि यार देर इज एब्सोल्युटली नॉनसेंस दैट अक्षत यू आर स्पीकिंग, because you have just been lucky, because there is no fundamental way in which you can analyze this. So from that perspective, I hope that you get all these critical points. I am simplifying very critical, highly complicated information in very simple words. So at least like कर देना आप. Now comes the final point. That final जो stock manipulation होता है, how does that happen? See, in the old times when the information was not there, around like Harshad Mehta time. So what these bad agents used to do was that they used to collect a lot of proprietary information. And आप हर्षद मेहता 92 स्कैम अगर आपने सीरियल देखा हो तो यू वुड हैव सीन दैट कि वो फेक कंपनी रजिस्टर कर देते थे. दे यूज टू अगेन इंक्रीज द डिमांड सप्लाई ऑफ द स्टॉक्स एज पर वट एवर दे फेल्ट लाइक. जो हर्षद मेहता थे उन्होंने डिपॉजिटरी रिसीट्स लेके या फंडिंग लेके इन अ वे फ्रॉम द बैंक बाय मैनिपुलेटिंग द अकाउंट्स, ही वेंट एंड पम्प्ड द पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स फंड इन टू द स्टॉक मार्केट. तो उससे ही वॉज एबल टू मैनिपुलेट द स्टॉक. सो देर वॉज अ लॉट ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन, इनसाइडर इन्फॉर्मेशन जिस पे ट्रेडिंग होती थी, इस तरीके की हरकतें होती थी, तो जिसकी वजह से स्टॉक कुड हैव बीन इजीली मैनिपुलेटेड, फॉलन. बट नाउ द वेरिफिकेशन मैकेनिज्म इज फास्ट. SEBI has done very good work in this area. So this entire manipulation technically has come down. But see, जो उल्टी प्रवृत्ति के लोग होते हैं वो कुछ ना कुछ रास्ता ढूंढ लेते हैं, right? So even these bad agents have figured out other ways. ये रहा एक चार्ट, आप देख सकते हैं कि भाई न्यूज एंकर्स मैनिपुलेटिंग स्टॉक्स. ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट फ्रंट रनर्स, राइट? तो म्यूचुअल फंड मैनेजर्स फ्रंट रनिंग स्टॉक्स, अपने ही इन्वेस्टर्स को चूना लगा रहे हैं. सो ऑल दीज आर बैड एजेंट्स एंड दे फिगर आउट न्यू स्टफ इन ऑर्डर टू मैनिपुलेट स्टॉक्स. अब मैं इस पर ज़्यादा नहीं बोलता, यू गाइज आर स्मार्ट, यू विल बी एबल टू पिक अप. Let me speak about 2-3 solutions by giving relevant examples. If you are picking good business, कुछ भी मैनिपुलेशन उस पर होते रहने दो. वर्स्ट दैट विल हैपन टू यू इज क्या थोड़ा बहुत लॉस पे आपको होल्ड करना पड़ेगा. लिटिल बिट ऑफ टाइम करेक्शन विल बी देयर बट द स्टॉक विल कम बैक अप. गुड परफॉर्मिंग फंडामेंटली स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टॉक हो सकता है 6 महीने में रिटर्न आ जाए, हो सकता है इट माइट टेक 1 year, 1.5, 2 years, बट यू आर गोइंग टू मेक appropriate return on that stock. For example, अभी आप जाके HDFC बैंक देखो, राइट? 200-day मूविंग एवरेज की लाइन से भी नीचे है. ओके, 2.5 years हो गए, nothing has happened on the stock, so stock hasn't moved. But have the profits revenues increased? Yes, it's sitting at massive profits, massive moat, competitive advantage is there, branding power is there, the banking industry is growing, the firm itself is growing at like 20% CAGR. So ऐसी क्या दिक्कत हो गई कि HDFC बैंक will not grow? So as a retail investor, you must have a little bit of vision कि अच्छा ठीक है, maybe this year I'm not going to make money on HDFC, next year भी नहीं मिलेगा, कोई बात नहीं. बट थर्ड ईयर में when HDFC बैंक starts to give a run up, it will give very quick 60% gains. So whatever losses it has made this year in terms of not giving the returns, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि it keep on going down and results अच्छे पे अच्छे आए जा रहे हैं. Second key point, that when you buy a good stock, let's say that you buy SBI cards or HDFC bank, and if it falls, then have some room to downward average it. Because when you are buying good stocks at crazy high prices and फिर यार वो गिर जाता है तो दुख तो definitely होता है. But if you don't know how to downward average it, when to downward average, then it becomes a problem. So I teach all these concepts on my member community also, on my course also. In case you guys are interested, you can definitely join. Third key point, that please learn the value of patience. हम लोग की आदत होती है that we want to make like 15% gains every single year. No, that is highly unlikely that it will happen. But if you keep a perspective यार कि 4 साल में in 4 years I have to double my money, that is a much easier target to achieve compared to making 15% gains consistently. Why? Because think about stock market. What is the utility of the stock market? Is stock market a place where you can make regular returns? Absolutely not. Stock market is a place which gives volatile return. Now what is the meaning of volatility? कि एक साल हो सकता है नीचे जाए, second year it comes back up by 30%, who knows, third year it falls by another 40%, then fourth year it comes up by like 60%. So आपके सारे losses offset हो जाते हैं, profits बन जाते हैं. So that is how stock market operates. I hope that I was able to decode this dark world of stock market investing for retail investors. You guys understood a little bit about how this entire manipulation game works. And yeah, I hope that you guys will support these type of videos. As a next step, learn how to build your portfolio. It's extremely critical. Go ahead and watch this video.